You know that moment. You're with someone, things are getting intimate, and suddenly you realize you have absolutely no idea what to say to take things to the next level, verbally.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you're swiping through dating apps and feel like there's this secret language of attraction everyone else has downloaded, but you miss the memo.
Totally. It's fascinating how often that gap exists, between what we want and our ability to actually say it.
Right.
We're often so conditioned to keep discussions about sex sort of behind closed doors. So when you can express yourself, it can feel like walking through a minefield.
Well, that's exactly the territory we're exploring today.
Mhm.
We've got Tina Horn's The Grownups Little Book of Sex Tips for Getting Dirty Digitally as our guide.
Great resource.
Now, Tina is someone who's clearly spent a lot of time thinking and talking about this stuff. She's a writer, a teacher, host of the Why Are People Into That podcast.
Yeah.
So she brings a really informed and kind of engaging perspective to the whole realm of desire.
Absolutely. And what's really valuable about Tina's book, I think, is that she looks at sexual communication, well, holistically. We're not just focusing on pillow talk, though we will definitely get into some of that, but also how we connect and express ourselves digitally.
Yeah, like dating profiles, sexting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sexting, sharing photos, videos, the whole digital landscape.
So our goal for you today is to really dig into this book and pull out the practical, like immediately useful information.
Yeah.
We want to give you insights, techniques, stuff that can boost your confidence and, lead to more satisfying sexual communication, whether that's in person or through a screen.
Right, getting those aha moments.
Yeah. And hopefully enhancing your intimate life
Yeah.
while keeping things grounded in, respect, consent, and maybe even a little bit of fun if you're up for it.
Exactly. It's about moving past that initial awkwardness or like uncertainty, getting to a place where you feel empowered to say what you want, understand your partner.
Which naturally leads to deeper connections.
And let's face it, more enjoyable sex.
Okay, let's unpack this. We'll
Yeah.
start with the fundamentals. In-person communication, or as Tina playfully calls it, IRL dirty talk.
Good place to start.
One of the first things she touches on is something I think many of us can relate to, that feeling of just not knowing what to say. It's like we've been taught that talking about sex is somehow impolite, even when the moment is intensely sexual.
That societal conditioning is incredibly powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
For so many people, sex has been framed as this private, maybe even taboo subject. So overcoming that ingrained hesitation to verbalize what you want, or even just acknowledge the sexual energy in the room, that can be a real challenge.
It can cause real anxiety.
Definitely. Which makes the practical tips in Tina's book really useful for getting past those inhibitions.
But Tina is very clear on this. You have every right to ask for what you desire,
Absolutely.
whether it's a gentle touch, a specific act, more passion, or just, more affection. It's your experience. Your desires are valid.
And she makes a really important point about not being afraid to be a little playful. Right.
Sometimes our sexual selves can feel different, maybe a bit less polished than our everyday personas,
Totally.
Letting go of that self-consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
embracing a bit of lightheartedness
Mm-hmm.
that can actually deepen intimacy and pleasure.
Absolutely. She even mentions the book has phrases that might make you giggle at first.
Uh-huh.
But trust her, she says. They can open the door to some incredibly intense experiences. It's about letting go of that fear of judgment and just experimenting.
Yeah, and what's interesting there is how vulnerability and, playfulness can kind of intertwine.
How so?
Well, when you're not so focused on appearing cool or sophisticated, you're actually showing a more authentic, more engaging part of yourself.
That makes sense. Now, for those of us who feel like our inner sex guru needs a little guidance, Tina introduces this practice makes perfect idea,
Okay.
and it begins with solo practice.
Right, talking to yourself. Yeah. She suggests picking a sexy phrase. She even gives a top 10, variations on, I love the way you kiss me, and just saying it aloud
Yeah.
to yourself over and over until it feels more natural.
Okay, that's actually brilliant. It tackles that initial awkwardness head on.
Right.
By getting comfortable with the sound of your own voice saying these things in private, it gets much easier to, bring them out with a partner.
And it helps you figure out what you actually like saying.
Totally. What language genuinely turns you on? Self-knowledge.
And she takes it a step further with the idea of a private dirty notebook.
Ooh, okay. Like a diary.
Sort of.
Mhm.
In our digital world, it might seem a bit old school, but hear her out. Think of it as your own confidential space to explore your sexuality. No judgment.
I like that. So what goes in it?
Well, Tina suggests it serves multiple purposes, making lists. For example, a yes, no, maybe list of sexual activities.
Okay, yeah.
You could track your erotic dreams, fantasies, maybe even try writing your own erotica.
Wow.
It's all about self-discovery, giving yourself permission to explore your desires on paper.
Which ultimately helps you understand yourself better, right? Which is step one to communicating it.
Exactly. And it's not just fantasies. She suggests copying down favorite sexts you've received.
That's a good one.
Right. Reminds you what worked. Trying automatic writing, just letting thoughts flow, making lists of preferences, favorite porn scenes, celebs you fantasize about.
Okay, so really digging deep.
Yeah. And she even suggests reading parts of it aloud, maybe recording yourself.
Whoa. That could be powerful, actually, getting comfortable with your own voice and the specific words.
Okay, so you've practiced phrases, you've got this notebook full of desires. How do you actually start using this with other people?
Right, the application.
Tina talks about getting what you want by strategically starting conversations about sexuality more broadly, even on early dates.
Ah, okay. Like easing into it.
Yeah. It's a smart way to gauge compatibility without putting direct pressure on, like, right now.
So how would you do that?
By casually mentioning, say, a steamy scene in a TV show you watched, or an article, or even a podcast about relationships.
Gotcha. So you can learn a lot about their attitudes and comfort level just from that.
Exactly. Create an opening to discuss sexuality generally before you're in a vulnerable spot.
Makes sense.
And from there, she moves into the really crucial area of erotic negotiation.
Okay, that term might scare some people off. Sounds intense.
It can sound that way, but Tina argues it's essential for all sexual encounters, not just BDSM or kink.
Right. It just means talking openly about desires, boundaries, expectations.
Yeah. Even if you're just making out in a taxi, she says, that's actually a great moment to start a casual chat about what you might both be interested in doing later.
Ah, okay. Lowering the stakes.
She even gives opening lines you could whisper, like, what are you imagining doing to me right now? Or if we weren't here, I'd already be, planting a seed.
I like those. They're direct, but also kind of playful. It's less like a demand and more like an invitation to explore together. Opens the door for them to be honest, too.
And this isn't just about desires, is it? Erotic negotiation also covers the really important stuff.
Like consent, obviously. Limits, safe words if you use them.
And the practicals.
Mm-hmm.
Birth control, STI status, relationship parameters like, are we exclusive?
Exactly. And while those chats might feel a bit awkward sometimes, Tina emphasizes how incredibly responsible and actually maybe surprisingly hot they can be. Knowing you're both on the same page builds trust.
Definitely creates more intimacy. Now, a big part of creating that comfort is actively avoiding slut-shaming.
Yes. So important.
Tina defines it clearly judging someone for having multiple partners or just, enjoying sex. And she points out how women tend to get this negativity way more often.
It's true. And when someone shares their desires or history with you, they're being vulnerable.
Right.
So even if their thing isn't your thing, your response needs to be affirming and respectful. Always.
Okay, so you're alone with someone, things are heating up, but you want to offer some guidance, constructive guidance.
The tricky part.
Tina introduces the compliment sandwich. Tell us about that.
Right. This is a classic communication tool, really useful here. The idea is you frame your suggestion between two positive statements.
Okay.
So instead of just blurting out, I don't like that, which can kill the mood fast,
Totally.
you could say, I love how you're touching me right here positive. Could you maybe try a little lighter pressure suggestion? This feels so good positive.
I see. It softens the feedback.
Exactly. It makes receiving feedback much easier and encourages, continued exploration together.
She gives a great example about nipple sensitivity. Instead of just, ouch, stop, you could say, oh, honey, my nipples are super sensitive and it actually drives me wild when you're really gentle.
Right. Framing it as what turns you on.
Or even offer a direct alternative. You know what I really love? Having my breasts squeezed firmly like this and then show them.
It's all about redirecting, not just shutting down. Creates a much more positive, collaborative vibe. Both people feel comfortable saying what they need.
But flipping that coin, Tina also stresses the absolute right to say no.
Crucial.
Being able to firmly and clearly say no is just as vital as saying what you do want.
Absolutely. And just as important, when someone says no to you, you have to really listen and completely respect that boundary. No means no.
Boundaries aren't about blocking things.
No, they're about defining the safe space within which your yeses can happen, and language is key for that. No real consent without clear communication.
Okay, now, who doesn't like a compliment?
Sure.
Tina says flattery will get you everywhere.
Sure.
And she's not just talking polite, everyday stuff. She gets into X-rated flattery. Why is that so potent?
Well, polite flattery is nice, sure, but those more explicit compliments in the heat of the moment, incredibly powerful.
Like what?
Saying something like, "You look so incredibly sexy with your face buried between my thighs," or "Nobody knows how to make me feel this good."
Okay, yeah.
It's incredibly affirming, super arousing. It's about making your partner feel like a sexual superhero right then and there.
And speaking of power dynamics, she also talks about the power of suggestion through narrating during sex. Just saying what's happening sounds almost too simple.
It might seem obvious, but in that intense moment, verbally describing the actions can be incredibly hot for both people.
Really?
Yeah, saying, "You're kissing my neck," while they are kissing your neck. It creates this amazing feedback loop, sensory input, shared experience, heightens awareness.
And she encourages amplifying that by mixing narration with flattery.
Right, so not just "you're kissing my neck," but "you're kissing my neck," and it feels absolutely incredible.
That blend of the explicit and the complimentary.
Yeah, it really ramps things up. She even provides lists, top 10 dirty verbs, sexy descriptive words, instructive phrases to help build that verbal toolkit.
Okay, let's talk about getting a little more direct. Tina points out that lots of curse words actually refer to our intimate parts, and using vulgarity can be effective. Why is that?
For some people, those more explicit R-rated terms can be incredibly arousing. There's a certain, taboo-breaking element that's exciting. Tina lists different words for anatomy, fluids, secondary sexual characteristics, even the greatest body part of all time, her words, the butt or ass.
And to make this less intimidating, she includes these dirty talk fill-in-the-blanks exercises, like templates.
Exactly. Like, "I really love the way you verb your body part all over my body part," or "Please verb my body part just like you did last night."
Okay, gives you a structure.
Yeah, a framework to build your own personalized, effective dirty talk.
Now, things can definitely get a bit taboo. Tina talks about how the taboo itself often makes certain words potent.
Right.
But she really emphasizes being aware of and respecting personal boundaries.
Absolute crucial. Discomfort with words is so subjective.
Yeah.
A word one person finds super hot can be a major turnoff, even offensive to someone else. He uses cunt versus pussy as an example. Well, one might feel empowering, reclaiming for some, while the other feels oppressive, depending entirely on personal history and association.
So you really have to ask.
Definitely. Ask partners about their preferences, especially important for gender-affirming language for trans folks. What words for their body bring pleasure? What's off limits?
Knowing your answers and your partners is key to making dirty talk that works for both of you.
Exactly. Open communication about language preferences creates that safe, pleasurable space.
Now, what if your partner's go-to buzzword is your total buzzkill?
Yeah, that can happen.
Tina shares a story about Jules and George. George enthusiastically yelled, "I'm gonna nut," right before orgasm, which Jules found off-putting.
Okay, relatable problem. What's the advice?
Well, first, she suggests maybe try to get used to it, especially if it's more casual. But if it really bothers you consistently,
Then what?
bring it up gently, away from the bedroom. Focus on your experience. So, not "your word is gross," but more like, "I personally find the word nut a little distracting." Frame it as your subjective feeling, not shaming them.
Okay, that's good advice. Handle it delicately.
Sometimes an easier way into dirty talk is role-playing, right? Pretending to be someone else.
Yeah. Tina talks about how this is a fantastic way to embrace the play in sex. Let your imagination go wild without the pressure of being your everyday self. And sometimes that initial role play can actually turn into a more consistent sexual persona, a character that really sparks desire for you both.
She also touches on using traditionally demeaning words like slut or bitch.
Right, explaining that in certain consensual contexts where they're specifically requested, they can be incredibly erotic, really highlights individual preferences and agreements again.
But Tina also doesn't want us to underestimate passionate nonsense either.
Meaning?
All those vowel sounds, grunts, moans, the non-verbal stuff, what's their role?
Ah, right. Dirty talk doesn't always have to be perfect sentences. Those sounds of pure pleasure, they communicate a lot.
Yeah.
They convey raw sensation, can be deeply arousing for both people. And don't forget body language, eye contact, open body positions that communicates desire just as powerfully.
And finally, Tina reminds us that true romance can be sexy too.
Absolutely.
Saying, I love you, using affectionate nicknames, that can be incredibly arousing for the right person, and one of the most powerful words in the bedroom.
Let me guess. Your partner's name.
Exactly.
Your partner's name.
Yeah, hearing your name spoken intimately during sex.
Yeah.
It makes you feel so seen, so valued.
And saying their name, especially during intense moments like orgasm.
It's like verbally declaring your focus, your obsession in that shared moment. So affirming, so connective.
Okay, so we've built a solid foundation for IRL communication. Now let's shift gears of the digital realm.
Right. Online dating and beyond.
Tina moves to hooking up and finding compatibility online. She acknowledges how common dating apps are, but also this weird paradox. Yeah, the endless possibilities versus feeling totally isolated or alienated sometimes.
Exactly.
That paradox is so real. You've got this huge pool of people, but it can feel overwhelming, impersonal, even a bit dehumanizing.
So what's the key?
Tina suggests learning how to use the opportunities without getting totally consumed or losing sight of yourself.
And she starts with a crucial reminder. First things first, love yourself.
Yes, online dating shouldn't take over your whole life or be your only focus.
Right.
She really emphasizes having a balanced, fulfilling life outside the apps. Hobbies, well-being, even having dates with yourself.
Why is that important for dating?
Because you're way more likely to attract someone compatible when you project confidence and contentment from a well-rounded life, not desperation.
She even suggests setting practical goals like time limits for scrolling, limits on how many dates a week.
Yeah, being intentional with your time and energy, avoiding burnout is key.
And when it comes to creating your profile, Tina says, ask yourself 2 key questions. What exactly am I looking for?
Yeah.
And what do I want to consciously put out there?
Good starting point.
Then comes the fun part.
Yeah.
Visualize your prey.
Pray. Okay.
Yeah, she encourages using that sexy journal again to really dream about the connection you want. Is it a one-night stand, booty call, kink partner, long-term, non-monogamy?
So, getting really specific about your desires.
Crucial, she says. Don't just say a nice person. The clearer you are about what excites and fulfills you, the easier it is to spot potential matches. Be specific about physical and personality traits.
Makes sense. Know what you're shopping for.
But she also adds, Tina's tip, keep an open mind.
Ah, right. Don't be too rigid.
Be willing to consider people who might not seem like your perfect type on paper.
You never know where a great connection might pop up. Being too narrow can mean missing out on someone amazing.
Okay, so you know what you want. You've got profile basics.
Yeah.
Now, writing your own advertising copy.
Right happy. Okay.
Tina suggests thinking of yourself as, like, an amplified version of yourself. And importantly, being honest about your flaws.
Interesting. Not hiding the flaws.
No, makes you real. Craft a profile that's dynamic, engaging.
yeah.
Show what makes you unique. She even suggests using codes, niche interests, preferences to gauge compatibility.
Like little signals.
Yeah.
App.
And definitely get friends to give honest feedback on your profile before it goes live.
Good call. Brutal honesty needed sometimes.
All right, profile's live. Chats are starting. Tina has a guide to optimizing time on app chats. Step 1, compose a canned response.
A canned response like copy-paste?
Sort of. It's about efficiency, not crafting a unique opener every single time. Have a go-to intro that reflects your personality and saves mental energy. She gives an example.
Okay, I can see the logic there.
Then keep the conversation volleying. She uses an example from Frankie, who nails it, acknowledges something from their profile, responds positively to a date idea, then adds her own spin to keep it going.
Right, that's the standard. Build on the last message, give them something easy to respond to.
And if a chat dies?
Let it go! Don't chase. If they're interested, they'll put in the effort.
And a key piece of advice, use apps exclusively to establish interest.
Meaning?
Move the conversation off the app to texting, maybe a call as soon as you feel comfortable.
Why's that?
Apps are great for the initial start, but not ideal for deep chats or heavy emotions. Texting or calls feel more personal, remind you they're a real human.
Good point. Avoids the profile on a screen feeling.
And a big no-no,
Yeah.
don't use app chats for sexual stimulation before meeting.
Right. Save that for later.
Tina also adds, don't waste your own time on self-defeating internal monologues. that whole "they're out of my league" thing.
Yeah.
She says it's mostly a myth online. If you like someone's profile, just message them. What have you got to lose?
True. Putting yourself out there builds resilience, helps you figure out what you want. Rejection is part of it.
And then she lays down Tina's commandments for online dating communication. 10 rules.
Okay, give me the gist.
They boil down to respect others' time, be efficient, and prioritize your own well-being.
Like what specifically?
Like, don't obsessively check messages, don't feel obligated to reply to everyone, be transparent about intentions, and definitely don't fear the block button if someone's creepy or rude.
Solid advice. Boundaries.
She touches briefly on the first date. Chemistry is key. Even bad dates are learning experiences. Always be kind.
Basic decency.
And she jokes that a little light stalking never hurt anybody.
Uh-oh. Meaning?
Just like a subtle background check using public info. But don't mention you did it and avoid backhanded compliments when you meet.
Okay, subtle checks fine. Creepy comments not fine. Got it.
Safety first. Always meet in public for the first time.
Essential.
And have polite excuses ready in case you need to leave early.
Good backup plan.
On the date itself,
Yeah.
be a good listener, put the phone away, skip generic small talk, ask specific questions based on their profile.
Shows you actually paid attention.
And she gives some great lines to transition the date to somewhere more private if the vibe is right.
Ooh, handy.
Now, the sometimes awkward but crucial topic, how to discuss safe sex.
Yep.
Gotta do it.
Tina emphasizes how much better and safer sex is when you have open, honest chats about it.
So how to make it less awkward.
Practice what you want to say. Know your status and needs. Try to integrate it naturally. She suggests using touch, more suggestive language to make it feel less clinical, more intimate.
Yeah.
Okay. What needs covering? Birth control methods, what you're both looking for relationship-wise, STI status and testing, barrier preferences, condoms, dams, and monogamy status.
Right. All the key stuff. Being upfront builds trust, ensures respect.
For casual hookups, she mentions a safety technique, the silent alarm.
How does that work?
You agree on a code word phrase with a trusted friend. Before going somewhere private, you tell your date you need to make a quick call. Friend's expecting it. Use a code if you feel unsafe, need help, without alerting the date.
Wow, that's really smart. A discreet safety net.
And even after a date or hookup, the follow-up matters. She shares a good example message someone sent a casual partner to explain they were dating someone else more seriously. Clear, honest, respectful, avoids misunderstandings and ghosting vibes.
And don't forget your friends. Tina says we all get by with a little help from friends. Don't be that fair-weather friend who vanishes when they're dating someone.
So true. Talk to your friends about your dating life, fantasies, anxieties, funny stories. That support system is invaluable.
Finally, in this section, Tina's guide to being a good booty call.
Okay, the rules of engagement.
Pretty much. A list of do's and don'ts. Be clear about intentions, have basic human decency, be good in bed.
Right. Treat them with respect as a person. Don't project your own shame. Expect the same respect back.
She wraps up saying every date is a digital audition, encourages resilience. And her final tip, hash it out. Talk to friends about sex.
That open communication is liberating, helps you navigate it all.
All right, profile pics, first dates. Done. Now the really juicy stuff. Getting dirty digitally. Sexting and sending media.
Okay, let's go there.
Tina kicks off with sexual healing, defining sexting as basically any sexually themed message meant to stimulate both sender and receiver.
And she mentions two main types, right?
Yeah. Seductive, flirtatious ones, and ones more explicitly designed for masturbation reading material, using tech to keep the connection and arousal going.
Makes sense.
And if verbalizing desire still feels intimidating, she suggests conversational baby steps.
Meaning using digital first.
Yeah. Use digital as a less direct, maybe less nerve-wracking way to start expressing those thoughts.
Okay. Typing it out might feel safer initially.
And getting positive feedback digitally can build confidence for saying it IRL later.
Cool. So how do you know when to make the first move with sexting?
Tina says use similar judgment as face-to-face. Hint at your arousal, gauge their mood, energy levels.
But she notes in established relationships, a sudden intense sex can be thrilling.
Yeah, out of the blue. But when starting out with someone, better to build slowly. She gives some great opening sex examples.
Good to have starters.
And because judging mood via text is tricky, she suggests you devise a code together.
A code, like secret agent stuff?
Maybe code sentences, pet names, safe words. Something to signal you're both in the mood for digital sexy time.
Okay. Adds a playful layer, ensures everyone's on board before it gets explicit. Like red, yellow, green lights.
Tina also says use different rules for different technologies.
Right, G-chat versus text versus hookup app versus social media. Different vibes, different expectations.
Yeah, understanding those nuances prevents misunderstandings. Like, don't have a deep emotional chat on a hookup app.
Probably not the place.
And remember to be a time traveler. Be mindful of what the recipient might be doing.
Right, they might be in a meeting, on a crowded bus, not just waiting by the phone.
Patience is key.
Yeah.
And if you feel ignored mid-sext, Tina suggests taking care of yourself.
Kinda.
And maybe sending a light message saying you'll pick it up later when they're free.
Good strategy, don't panic.
And for goodness sake, she says, change your settings to no preview.
Oh, God, yes. Protect yourself from accidental public displays of private chats.
The last thing you want is a steamy message popping up for your boss to see.
Nightmare fuel, absolutely.
Now, the big question, is sexting cheating?
The perennial question, what's Tina's take?
Depends entirely on the rules and agreements within your relationship.
Right. It's about boundaries.
Cheating, she says, is deceptive behavior against those agreed-upon boundaries. And don't think digital interactions are less real or less impactful. They are real.
Good point. Impact is impact.
Quick practical tip. Tina does not recommend voice recognition text for sexting.
Why not? Siri can't handle the heat.
Apparently not. Digital assistants often miss the innuendo. Risk of sending something hilarious or nonsensical is high.
Okay, noted. Type it out. Avoid autocorrect disasters.
So whom should you sext?
Key ethical points. Age, relationship status, context of your relationship.
Basic decency online.
She shares a cautionary tale about an office G-chat affair that ended badly for everyone.
Yeah, anonymity doesn't excuse bad behavior. If you wouldn't do it IRL, don't use digital as an excuse.
And always, always double check that you're sexting the right person. Oh, God. Yes. Crucial double check. Avoid that horror.
And a clear boundary. Don't use someone for sext if you have zero intention of ever meeting them.
That's just leading them on. Not cool. Respect their time and energy.
Sexting should have a purpose, connection, arousal, prelude to meeting.
Makes sense. So sexting, what is it good for? What does Tina say?
It's surprisingly versatile. One great use. Masturbate to your text conversations.
Huh, really?
Yeah. Screenshotting steamy exchanges for later. Great way to reignite arousal. Even just the anticipation to reply can heighten things.
Okay, using the archive.
And for a boring day pick-me-up, a jolt of indecency to brighten up a boring situation, send a strategic, sexy text during a dull moment.
Ooh, naughty. That contrast between mundane and naughty can be thrilling. A little secret excitement.
Now, how to actually sext better. Tina has practical tips.
Lame on me.
Choose your own adventure erotica via text. Yeah. Use it to bridge distance in LDRs. Remember, sexting turns you on too, not just the receiver.
Right, the sender gets aroused too.
And the tease from afar. Send a message to distract your partner. Leave them wanting more.
Delicious distraction. I like it.
One really reliable technique. Switching tenses.
How does that work?
Consciously move between past, something you did together, present, what you're doing now, maybe to yourself, and future, what you want to do.
Past, present, future. Keeps it flowing, maintains arousal, foolproof framework. She gives examples.
Yep, great PPF sexts examples in the book.
Cool.
She also distinguishes flirting texts versus text sex.
What's the difference?
Flirting texts are more intellectual, playful supplements. Text sex is more like digital phone sex, direct, explicit stimulation, often for masturbation.
Right. And typing while aroused can be challenging.
Part of the fun, maybe. And don't be afraid to reuse words, phrases, work. Text sex can be repetitive, present tense focused.
Okay. Recycle the good stuff.
But caution. Don't be lazy. Use acronyms sparingly.
Definitely. LOL doesn't scream sexy.
Kills the mood.
Right.
Use descriptive language. Save acronyms for everyday chat.
Good role.
Tina includes example sext exchanges to show pacing, tension building, impact, and lists great dirty talk and sexting in pop culture. Songs, movies.
Always interesting to see pop culture examples.
And finally, text-wise, a word on emoji. Tina and her pervy friends are fans.
Really? How do they use them?
As a way to add personality, nuance, playful secret code, she even gives a top 10 dirty emoji phrases. Get creative.
Okay, emoji potential unlocked.
Okay, let's shift to visuals. Send sexy pictures and video. A selfie says 1,000 dirty words.
The visual chapter.
Tina reminds us porn history often drove tech innovation, and now we're in a golden age of personalized smut making.
Redefining porn to include personal pics and videos we share.
Exactly. This section is about empowering you to be your own sexual supermodel.
Okay, I'm ready for my close-up.
She starts with profile pics on app social media, importance of clear, well-lit photos where you're recognizable, especially in group shots,
Makes sense. Be identifiable.
and include action shots, you doing things you enjoy, showing personality.
Yeah, showing passions is attractive. And when judging others' profiles.
Look for people who smile authentically, seem to know how to take a decent photo. Basic stuff.
Right.
For curating your own profile, she suggests 5 categories: emotion, body, action, face, friends. 1 pick from each.
What do those communicate?
Emotion shows personality. Body gives a visual sense. Action shows interest lifestyle. Face is for direct connection. Friends shows you have a social life. Presents a well-rounded picture.
Good framework. Holistic profile.
Now, in defense of the selfie, Tina pushes back hard against selfie negativity.
Yeah, they get a bad rap sometimes.
She argues they can be empowering, a way to reclaim agency over how you're seen. A lot of the criticism has sexist double standards baked in.
Good point. Sharing a selfie can be an act of confidence, self-acceptance. That's attractive.
And she lists great reasons to send a sexy selfie. Give your partner eye candy or masturbation fodder. Flirt, seduce, express affection. Just have fun.
Lots of reasons. And what about selfie self-love?
Taking pics just for you. For affirmation, mood boost, celebrating your own body and sensuality. Internal validation is key.
Love that. Taking pics for yourself.
Now, if you receive a sexy pic, how to be really good at receiving naked pictures.
Okay. Important etiquette. What's the advice?
Be gracious, appreciative, even a simple, wow, you look amazing, works. And absolutely protect their privacy. Never forward or share without explicit permission. Ever.
Non-negotiable. Respect privacy.
And before you send one, firm rule. Ask first.
Consent first. Always.
Or at least send one of yours first as an implicit invitation for one back. And absolutely never ever send unsolicited pics of your genitals.
Just don't do it. Consent is crucial visually too.
Now, the art of the sexy selfie. How to take a great sexy selfie.
The masterclass. What are the tips?
Eye contact with the camera, good lighting, flattering angles. Get yourself turned on first, maybe touch yourself while shooting.
Okay, get in the mood.
Use timers, tripods, maybe even a trusted friend. Control the shot. Master mirror selfies. The reclining bikini POV. Experiment. Find what makes you feel confident and hot.
Lots of practical tips there.
What about Snapchat? Why is Snapchat so great?
The disappearing messages, right?
Yeah, creates immediacy, privacy, kind of. Captions and drawings add playful layers. But remember, screenshots are possible, not foolproof privacy.
Right, the screenshot risk.
Tina offers ideas for Snapchats. The tease, the bounce, rocky horror shots, poly-advantage ideas.
What's the theme?
Anticipation, playfulness, hinting, not revealing all, movement, unexpected angles, humor, theatricality. Be creative with the platform.
Okay, using Snapchat's features creatively.
Moving to video. Sending and receiving sexy videos. Tina says genuine hot sex often beats fancy text skills.
You don't need to be Scorsese. Raw emotion, desire, connection matter more.
She gives ideas for exciting sex tapes. The reveal, when I think about you, I touch myself style. Be theatrical, be your own voyeur, explore fantasies, even make amateur porn together.
Wow, lots of ideas. And a key piece of advice.
Do not read the comments if you share anything online.
Yeah.
Protect your peace.
Absolutely essential advice. Avoid the trolls.
Finally, live sex show. Video chat, Skype, FaceTime. Why is this so hot?
It's that blend of intimacy and distance, right? Exhibitionism, voyeurism, close-ups, seeing how your partner gets off alone.
Encourages creativity.
Oh.
Dirty talk takes on a new vibe. Seeing yourself in their view. And yes, screenshots still possible. She gives some great Skype FaceTime ideas too.
Okay, live video adds another dimension.
Of course, with all this sharing, keeping your parts private is paramount. Digital security,
Ow.
secure storage, strong passwords, only share with trusted people. Basic but crucial steps. She even tackles ME, a porn star, challenging narrow beauty standards. Everyone's body is beautiful, desirable.
Important message.
Addresses the double standard for women showing bodies, hacked celeb photos. Reiterates the right to sexual expression and consensual sharing, but also clear about risks of leaks. If privacy is a huge concern, maybe don't take Zen.
Balancing empowerment with realistic risk assessment.
Tina wraps up with a final word on privacy. Suggests maybe shifting mindset.
From fear of exposure.
Yeah. Towards feeling less concerned about who might see you naked. If your own nakedness is a source of pride for you, external judgment holds less power.
Wow, that's a powerful reframe. Reclaiming your narrative, finding empowerment.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Tina Horn's book, we've covered a lot. from IRL dirty talk to sexting and sexy media.
Yeah, a huge range. And the core takeaways really circle back to enhancing communication, self-awareness of desires and boundaries.
And always, always prioritizing consent and respect, online or off.
Without exception.
Absolutely. This book, and hopefully our chat today, gives you practical tools, techniques, insights, empowers you to explore desires, communicate effectively.
And ultimately cultivate deeper, more fulfilling sexual experiences with current or future partners.
Definitely. So for our final thought today, we want to encourage you, listener, to reflect. Think about one specific idea or technique from today that really resonated.
Maybe it's practicing a new phrase privately, or feeling ready for that safe sex talk, or maybe just taking a confident selfie for yourself.
Yeah. Think about one small, concrete step you could take to apply that one thing in your own life.
And if you want to go deeper, Tina's book is packed with more resources, other books, blogs, podcasts, coaches, performers.
So much more to explore because
Okay.
great sexual communication is an ongoing journey, right?
Continuous learning, self-reflection, open exploration, absolutely.
And on that wonderfully insightful note, may your communication be clear, your desires be boldly known.
And your experiences be deeply and deliciously satisfying.
Until our next deep dive.